Hello, everyone, and welcome to this experiment that we are making today with our special guest from Ukraine. Her name is Yuliia Pieskova, and we are going to ask her about this refugee crisis and how we could better deal with refugees. And I think that she will tell us a little bit about Ukrainian language and culture, but also about the psychology of how to better welcome these refugees. Thank you very much to everyone who is present. I see that many people are posting on YouTube. Thank you all very much. Dolita Bacaru, Marina Martin, Daniel Gacchi, Elena Botezatu, Maria Crețu, Elena Sposò, Bianca Cioran. Thank you all very much. And let's start with this interview. So first of all, please, Yuliia, tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks a lot for inviting me, Diego, and thank you for being here. So my name is Yuliia, and I would say I'm just a usual Ukrainian who has spent all their life. I grew up in the south of Ukraine, which is unfortunately temporarily occupied now. And then I studied in Kyiv, and I worked at IT for like 9 years. And this war has found me, this like full-blown war, because it has been before as well. It has found me on vacation, and now I'm abroad, but I'm trying to do my best to coordinate people to get out of Ukraine and to provide help, like safety, like body jackets, walkie-talkies, and more.
Okay, this is great, Yuliia. So you came originally from the south of Ukraine and you studied in Kiev, and now you are working in IT for a German company, I think. Is that right? Okay, and we've got many people in the public, and they are already writing a lot. This is really great. This is so great. There are 29 concurrent viewers now, but they are writing a lot. Also, Oana says you hello, Yuliia, and many of them, they tell you Bună ziua. So my first question for you, if they tell you Bună ziua in Romanian language, how would you reply to them in Ukrainian language when they tell you Bună ziua? Back to you.
I would say Добрий день, which also means good afternoon. And if you speak Polish or Czech, and you greet or you say thank you, the Ukrainians will understand you as well. And if you speak Russian, then they will also understand you.
Very good. So in Ukrainian language, can you tell us a little bit about this language? If it is similar to Polish, similar to Russian, or similar to other languages, what are the origins of the language, and what is similar to, if people can understand each other with people from other countries? Tell us a little bit in general about the language.
It's a very good and risky question, Diego, because I'm a linguist by education, and I could have the whole lecture dedicated to that. So the Ukrainian language belongs to the Slavic group of languages, and it originates directly from the Old Slavic language. The most if you talk to Belarus people, if they talk Belarusian, not Russian, then we understand, I would say, maybe 95%. So the closest language is the Belarusian language. Then comes Polish. That's why when I was lost in Polish, nobody spoke English. I could easily not just get into the right bus, but also ask how to pay. And then go Serbian, Croatian, and other Slavic languages. The Russian language is widely spoken in Ukraine thanks to Soviet Union and the occupation by Russian Empire in the 18th century. So people understand that, and maybe 1/3 or even more speak Russian as their everyday language. However, Russians do not understand us, and there have been lots of stories of how they were detected in this war. For example, there was a very funny one when a Russian agent stopped the car and asked to pick them up. And the person asked them, "Oh, would you like to go to police?" Which sounds like politia in Ukrainian. And the guy answered, No, I don't need to go to Galicia. I need to go to Maidan." So, and Galicia is the part of the Western Ukraine, the same name as Galicia from Spain, where Diego is from. So it's very easy to detect Russian because they really hardly understand us, if they do at all.
Okay, people are writing on the chat a lot, and they are saying that it's very good image, right? And it's very good sound. So from a technical point of view, this is working, Yuliia. I cannot believe this because we were discussing before and I was really nervous, really worried about what could go wrong, but everything seems to be working right. So this show today, what I wanted to focus it on refugees, right? On how to welcome and help and host war refugees from Ukraine, and maybe if you could give us some hints about how, from a not only a language perspective, also from a cultural perspective, what could help for people in this difficult situation to feel more welcome in these difficult times. So what could you tell us, if you would like to tell us about the language, the culture, the psychology, whatever you like?
Thank you, Diego, and again, thank you for doing that. Yeah, because that's like the best sign of humanity, and yeah, cannot be over appreciated. So I would consider the welcoming of refugees as an exercise of your emotional intelligence. Yeah, maybe you've heard of it. Like now, it's very it's like a trend in the working space. Yeah, we are not only working on our IQ. Yeah, we are now also working on our emotional intelligence. So I would see it as such an exercise for two reasons. Reason number one, because first you need to take care of yourself, right? And it can be very hard these days to watch this news and then to meet really like especially traumatized people from Kharkiv or from Chernihiv, where people have been really to hell. So first, like watch your own emotional state, take care of yourself, name your emotions. Yeah, and after you name them, then you can be more rational about them. And second of all, turn on your empathy and try to understand and analyze how other people are feeling at that moment. Yeah, so and the reaction can be very different. Let me give you some examples. Like one of the most, I would say, one of the strongest and one of the healthiest reaction to such an aggression is an aggression as an answer. Yeah, so people feel this menace, they feel that their life is in danger. So we have this outburst of aggression inside. Yeah, like when I first saw the news, I was like, okay, I really want all the Russians go to hell. Yeah, so you have this aggression. And of course, it's addressed at the enemy. However, you would observe a person being really energetic, active, and then the person can think quite clearly. Other people can feel pityness towards themselves and towards their families, and then these people would cry a lot. They would lose this rational connection with reality, and then it's better to try to help them and to sidetrack them. Yeah, like to show somehow to get them out of that state. Probably also explain, if you can explain, that it is normal what is happening with them, and move it to, okay, so you feel you're scared for your security, what can we do about it now? Yeah, or like how can we help your close people, and so on and so forth. So yeah, like this two parts about the emotional state, and another one, just remember that there are different people coming. Some people would need help first of all. Yeah, those are the people who come from these hot spots. Usually those are people who they have nothing at their disposal, no money, no clothes, like really nothing. But there are also people who are coming from the western Ukraine, where it's more calm, and yeah, it's easier. I would say you can actively involve that people to help you, to provide help. So I now can go into lots of different directions. So maybe, Diego, you have another specific question for me?
Yes, yes. People from the public have already started asking questions. For instance, Daniel Gake from the University of Iași in Romania. It's university is the oldest university in Romania, and it is a university, the most eastern also university in the country. It's bordering with the Republic of Moldova, and he asks if you think that those people who are fleeing from war now, who are leaving the country, at some point will be able to go back to their homes, because the images that they are seeing is that many of the cities are being destroyed. And I think this question is like not only like a prediction about the future, right? Which is very difficult, but probably more about the feelings of the people, if they think that they will be able to go back. And this relates to an issue that you mentioned, that many of those people who arrive in Romania or in Poland, they stay close to the border, right? Because they are thinking of going back soon, and this may not be the case. Tell us a little bit about this, please, Yuliia.
Thank you. It's Daniel, it's a very good question. We have been transported like recently about 10 people, and we had a very hard time convincing them to go to Germany because they wanted to be closer to the border. So that's the case. It's psychologically, it's psychologically very hard to leave your home, especially for the older people, leave everything behind and to be far. But and now, of course, it's just what I see, yeah, because I don't have the statistics. It's like my personal opinion. I think most of the people will go back. So fortunately, it's going to be summer. And one of the biggest problem now is that it's very cold in Ukraine, and the Russians have bombarded the communications. So there is no heat in lots of regions. And that's why even in the towns where you can now live, yeah, like in Zhytomyr, it's not occupied, it's quite far, but you cannot live there because of the lack of heating. However, there are enough homes, there are enough relatives all over Ukraine. Like my family is now staying at the relatives. And what I see is that as soon as this active phase is over and people can go back to Ukraine, they will go back to Ukraine. There will be people who will find jobs in Europe and who will stay. I'm pretty sure about that as well. But it's not going to be such a big number of people. Yeah, so most it's just considering the capabilities and for example, if you have an IT person, yeah, they can work abroad, but their spouse won't be able to work abroad easily. Yeah, so it still would be easier to come back and build what you need to build over, maybe stay over at your relatives and then move on.
Okay, so we have more questions from the public now, and Andrei Sobea I think he's from the Republic of Moldova. He tells that the Prime Minister of Ukraine today presented a program by which he will offer housing to those who have lost it. We also have Vlad Enashescu, who just wrote now. What are some key cultural features of Ukrainians that should be taken into consideration after this emergency period when it will come to integrating these people in our communities? What's specific about Ukrainian culture that we should bear in mind when trying to integrate them?
Okay, I assume you muted already. Yeah, I can talk. Yeah, so that's a very good question, and also I would say a topic for another lecture when we were preparing, and I was thinking of presentation. Actually, that was the first thing I was thinking of, to cover this cultural peculiarities. So I would say that if you're talking about the integration into the European Union, is that what you mean? Integrate where?
I think he does not mean that. Means integrating these people who came as refugees, who will probably stay for a longer period and probably get jobs, probably go to school and try to integrate them in society in general without of any political implications beyond that.
Okay, thank you for making it clear. Okay, so I think the first thing would be, of course, helping people to learn the Romanian language. Yeah, so that's the first thing that makes it so difficult to stay abroad. And I think that's where you can really help, because it's good both for the Ukrainians to integrate and to find jobs and so on, but it will also be good for Romania, right? Because if you are integrating people, and you don't help them to learn the language, then they will be isolated, they will stay in small groups, they will probably take some jobs that don't need the language, but you won't have them as a part of society, and that's not fine, right? You need to have them as a part of society. And if you want to learn about like this cultural differences, I would recommend you, there is a very nice book that is called The Culture Map. And there you have several criteria, and you can find Ukraine and Romania there, and even like play and maybe try guessing where Romania is on that scale. And then you'll see where are the biggest striking differences. For example, like this criteria of following the plan and be more flexible. Yeah, so for example, when Ukrainians are working with Germans, it's very hard to agree on some time or to agree on some plan, because Germans like it to be like really clear and Ukrainians like to be flexible. So those are the things that will help you both to learn more about yourself and also about like probable challenges, or vice versa, some nice surprises when you deal with Ukrainians or work with them.
We've got another question now. Many questions. People are writing a lot. I'm really happy about this. These are really good students, really participating a lot. Maria Crezu, she asks your opinion about the current negotiations between the government of Ukraine and the government of Russia. If you think that they will be able to reach an agreement for ending the war, or for a ceasefire or ceasefire agreement, right? Or if there's no hope in the short term for such an agreement. So this is again a question not as a political analyst or it's about the feelings, right, that you have, and that maybe other people in the diaspora now have about the prospects of these negotiations.
Okay. So I'll use a story. So imagine that in your house comes the rapist who wants to kill everyone at your house, like do whatever they want to do and take away everything that is valuable for you. Would you like to negotiate with them? Would you believe in negotiations with them? So I don't, and as I watch the news, I don't believe that there is any, and I don't understand like why we're doing that. I think analytics will help to shed the lights there, but I don't believe in the negotiation. I also don't believe that Putin understands any other language than the force, which is also shown, right? Because now their troops are really failing in Ukraine, but they keep bombarding and terrorizing the civil population. Yeah, so I think that this is a clash of two cultures. Culture of European values, humanity, belief that everything can be addressed like in a in a normal way, with words, not with the arms. And that's the word that we as Ukrainians choose. Yeah, so just also to emphasize, we are not choosing to be with EU or America or whatever. We want to live these values. We don't want to report to the Russian Tsar and do what they want. That's what this war is about. It's about us choosing the way we want to live. And for the Russia, it's just the empire that needs to have more territories and have some sick dreams about the new Soviet Union.
So essentially, if I understood correctly, You think that the negotiations are very difficult to succeed because in this current climate of aggression, it's very difficult to negotiate with someone who is invading your country and killing your families or whatever. So you think that it would be difficult to accept for many people. It's even for you as a Ukrainian who was living peacefully in Kiev until 2 weeks ago, right? And it's even makes it difficult for you to understand why they are even negotiating, right? Okay, good. We've got other questions also from Juana Tudor. She tells you, hello, Yuliia. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. And the question, if you think that the EU is doing enough for this crisis, for solving this crisis.
Yeah, first of all, please don't call it a crisis. It's a war. It's not a crisis. It's real war. And you can just watch the news if you don't have enough arguments for that. That's not the crisis. But the overall, the question is very good. And I think that what I was thinking today in the morning is not that EU is not doing enough. I was thinking that Ukraine is not sending enough of gratitude. Because thanks to EU, thanks to the US, thanks to NATO, we got the weapons, we got the education about how to use them, how to be there. And that's why we are still talking about Ukraine. So I do believe that without this help, we would have already been occupied. There would have been even more thousands of victims. And probably I would not be able to talk to you now. So weapons, finances, supporting our economy. Now you are listening to me and you're interested how to help the refugees, how to help. It cannot be overappreciated. Yeah, so I'm really thankful to all of you and to all of your governments that you're doing that.
Okay, there are more interventions from the public. The audience are making more comments. For instance, Andrei Sobia saying that on the 25th, from the 25th of February, he went to try to help in the border for Ukrainians that came to Romania or to Moldova, I'm not sure, without knowing the language, the local language, and he acted as an interpreter. And he said that the Ukrainians that come to Romania, they do not really stay in Romania. They usually just come to Romania and stay for a couple of days, and it's like a transit country for them. So this is information that we receive from people who have participated actively in this process, that not many of those refugees will end up staying in Romania. But now Alexandru Makovei asks you, dear Yuliia, do you think that Ukraine can join the EU in the near future?
Thank you. Quick check. Do you hear my neighbor now talking? Okay, then 1 second. I'm really sorry for that, but I'm also kind of a refugee now. So I didn't believe that it's possible before. But I think that now that's what has to be done. We need to enter the EU in whatever economical state we are. We have to join NATO. and I don't see another alternative. I think now the world has seen, now like the masks are down, and the illusions about some separatists acting on Donbass and some, I don't know, Ukrainian Nazis. I hope that this propaganda is now is now really seen as propaganda, and I hope that the world understands that what we need to do is to work out this fascism or Nazi regime, and we also need to get united and to think how we can do it that way that we don't need to carry weapons anymore. How can we fight the Russian propaganda? How can we bring the truth to 140 million people living in Russia and wishing that I'm dead? They know that it's not how it's supposed to be. So I hope that's the strategy of the EU, that's the strategy of Ukraine, and I hope that nothing like that will ever happen again, and vice versa. The conflicts and the wars, I hope Moldova gets their territory back. I hope Georgia gets their territory back. I hope there is less tension in Syria, and so on and so forth. I hope that the dirty money of authoritarian regimes will not be taken and worked out as they have been worked out before.
There's now other people who are intervening from Ukraine. Olga is writing from Ukraine. She's from the University of Chernivtsi in Ukraine, and she's just writing, Yulia, you are right. Thank you. She's watching you. People from, the Eurosci network is a network that is present now in 13 countries of the world, in Europe, in Africa, and South America. But in Ukraine, we are really strong. In the University of Chernivtsi, the University of Odessa, and the University of Zhytomyr. That's why when you mentioned about the bombing in Zhytomyr and the destruction of infrastructure, like heating in housing, we are really concerned about this. We've got friends in Zhytomyr that have participated in our courses. A final question, and because then we will connect by Zoom just with the students that we've got. But a final question, I think, was by Vlad Enasescu, and he asked if you think that democracy has been really accepted as part of Ukrainian culture. If you think that democracy is already assumed as by Ukrainians as part of their own culture, or if there are still way to go or still differences of opinion about this in Ukraine.
It's a very good question, and I can't say yes or no. So on the one hand, democracy is I think it's kind of inbuilt in our DNA since the Cossacks times in the 13th, 14th century. And now you can see how people can really self-organize. Like these days, it's, I don't know, I've talked to so many people and everyone helps. It's really weird, and it gives lots of hope. So we do know how to self-organize. We do respect each other. We are not afraid. Yeah, in my hometown now, which is occupied by Russians, Melitopol, I think you might have heard of it in the news. People, like yesterday, they were told if you don't if you go out of the perimeter of the square, we're gonna shoot at you. And they're like, we're not gonna go like sheep in circles in our own town. And they went out. So I think that, yeah, like we have a lot inbuilt into DNA, inbuilt into the way of our thinking about the democracy. On the other hand, there has been a very big influence of the Soviet, I can't call it culture because it was destroyed, the culture and everything about that, but the Soviet way of governing, where initiative suppressed, high power. Yeah, so Ukraine, if you see this culture map, you're still considered a high power society when you like need a leader who would tell you what to do. And here I think there is more way towards that. However, as a person like in IT, I'm working with teams, I'm working with leaders, and I should say that I don't see a big gap. Yeah, I would not worry about that. I don't see a big gap. We have something that we can bring in, for example, to the EU, like this courage, this self-organization, this understanding. Like, yeah, not many people go and vote in the EU, yeah. So, but on the other hand, it's some way for us to go to move from this high power part of the culture.
Yuliia,
I hope I answered your question.
Yes, I said it was the last question, but I just read one question that I wouldn't like to leave unanswered. It's a question by Anna Maria Merticariu. She asked whether you think that the media, now you are in Germany, Eastern Germany, you're watching probably the German news as well as or other news in other countries. If you think that the Western media is exaggerating the situation in Ukraine, you think that the media is exaggerating the crisis because of the media. Usually they tend to do this, to be sensationalist, right? You think it's being exaggerated, or do you think that it's being understated what is really happening there? I think we lost the connection. So this could be a good time to continue this by Zoom with our guest by Zoom. I just have to thank you everyone who were watching on YouTube for your participation. This has been a great show. Now we will continue restricted only with the students of Alexandru Ioan Cuza University in Iași. Thank you all very much for your participation. Goodbye.